says not reportedly. He has been fired, and the Ford board will be announcing that Jim Hackett is replacing Mark Fields as CEO of the Ford Motor Company. That announcement will be coming up a little bit later on today. For Mark Fields, he's not even making it 3 years as CEO. He took over in July of 2014, and we'll explain in a little bit why he is being replaced by this man, Jim Hackett, who was a one-time member of the Ford Board of Directors, currently the president of Ford's Smart Mobility Division. It's all about the stock price. If you look at shares of Ford since Mark Fields took over in July of 2014, it's down 36%. That despite the fact that the company had its second most profitable year ever last year, and it's going to have a fairly profitable year this year, albeit it'll be lower than it was last year, and that's part of the pressure that was building on Mark Fields when they announced earlier this year that they'll have lower profitability for 2017. The other issue for Ford and for the Ford Board of Directors is how to convince investors and Wall Street that its vision for the future of the auto industry is one that will help the bottom line. Ford is investing heavily when it comes to autonomous drive vehicles, electric vehicles, smart mobility systems. Nobody doubts that the company is making these investments and that they someday will pay off, but to what degree and how much will they pay off and when will they pay off? The benchmarks that have been laid out under Mark Fields have been extremely vague, to the point that many on Wall Street are saying this move to replace him with Jim Hackett to bring in a new CEO may get a bit of a bounce today, guys, but as you take a look at shares of Ford versus Tesla, or really a number of the other automakers, that split at the end says it all. What will it take to get investors excited about Ford again? A lot of people are saying it's going to take more than a CEO. It's going to take clear benchmarks in terms of dollars and cents and how much the company plans to bring in starting in 2018, 2019, 2020. Can't just be we're going to have a new vehicle coming in 2020, 2021. Guys, back to you.
So, no, I was just saying, I understand technology, how, there was Microsoft, and then they didn't get into search, and then there was search, but they didn't get into, it's always a new company that sort of takes over. But in the auto industry, I would have thought that the established guys would have had the capital, the technology, the innovation to do what you're seeing Tesla. It's weird that a new upstart had the wherewithal to be able to become the, you would have thought it would have been a Mercedes, BMW, GM, Ford, but they're getting left in the dust, just like some technology companies, because they haven't innovated to this. And I think it's that insular Detroit culture or something.
The problem is it's not clearly articulated, and I hear this a lot, not just from people in Detroit, but from other automakers as well. They kind of scoff whenever Elon Musk says, hey, check out this new video of a new autonomous drive system that we've released from Tesla. And a lot of people, when Tesla first came out with its autopilot system, its semi-autonomous system, people were saying, boy, that guy is crazy because there's going to be an accident, something's going to go wrong, and it's going to blow up in their face. To the contrary, it has shown investors this is where the company is going. And when you mention autonomous drive vehicles, Joe, to people, I guarantee you very few people will say, yeah, Ford's working on one. You immediately hear about Tesla. I know. You hear about Waymo. You never hear GM and Ford. Or any of the other traditional
It's irritating too, Phil, because it's like some 25-year-old. It's like it really are these millennials come along in technology, or how do they just, it's really irritating. Where are the wise pros, the experience? Why doesn't that come in with technology or autos, Phil? How do these?
Because they're making huge investments in this, and what you have are a lot of investors saying, how much will Ford have to spend in order to catch up with Tesla, in order to catch up with Waymo?
I can't believe they got to catch up with.
Are they better served not investing, but instead making a deal?
And the lead that a Tesla has, I mean, just by the virtue of the miles driven on an autonomous system, Phil, I mean, that is worth money. You cannot buy that sort of data that puts them ahead.
You're correct. And that's what excites investors, because everybody realizes that's where the industry is headed. Now, it may not be there until 2021, 2025, but it's going there. It is going there. The days of us saying, how much are the automakers making by selling a vehicle, manufacturing it and selling it through the dealership network and being worldwide, that's still important. And that still brings in billions of dollars. But investors are saying, eventually that's going to change. And when it does, who's best positioned?
Hey, Phil, is this a situation, though, where you can understand them wanting to potentially make a change, but is this a thought-out change? Is this a planned one? And
that's going to be the criticism.
Is this Bill Ford who's making the decision?
Well, Bill Ford plays a big role as the chairman of the company. Remember, he was CEO at one time prior to Alan Mulally, and so he understands the pressures of running the automaker day to day, and he also understands that he's got to position this company for the future. Look, Bill Ford is still relatively young, but he is also somebody who has said, at some point I'm going to have to move on, and the next generation of Fords are going to have to take over, not in the next couple of years, but somewhere down the road, and he realizes he has to position the company in that fashion. Look, it's clear under Mark Fields that the company did not have a clear articulated vision, or clear enough articulation, I should say, for where it was going to be profiting when it comes to autonomous drive, electric vehicles, mobility systems.
This new guy hasn't been at Ford for very long, Phil, right? I mean, he was the CEO over at Steelcase until 2014, so his background is office furniture and seeing the change to the open layout. I mean, it's a very different industry from the automobile industry, which is basically a technology industry right now.
I think if you look at this, you don't look at Jim Hackett as a long-term CEO. You're not looking at him saying, hey, here's the guy who's going to be at this company for 7, 8 years. You look at him as somebody who realizes, I have to get us moving in the direction of convincing Wall Street that Ford will profit in the future when autonomous drive vehicles become much more important than they are right now, and I can guide us there. And then you have to look at the next tier of executives who will take on a bigger role. That's Joe Hinrichs out of Ford North America. He's the president of Ford North America, ran Ford of Asia. You have to look at Jim Farley, who was brought in under Alan Mulally, and then has been running Ford of Europe, has turned around Ford of Europe. It's now actually slightly profitable after years of losses. Those are the people who 2, 3, 4 years down the road are going to be running the company.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.